Oh, hi, it's Sienna.
And Kylie.
I'm Kylie. And I'm Sienna.
Your family.
Communities in mourning after an 11-year-old girl was shot and killed by her 12-year-old classmate.
Authorities say an 11-year-old Franklin County girl was shot and killed by a classmate. Sienna Dusk Owens of Detchard was reportedly shot in the back Saturday by a 12-year-old boy. It happened in the garage of the boy's home in Estill Springs.
I gave her her first name pretty much, because mine is Sierra Dawn, because I was the beginning, I was the first kid, and hers was Sienna Dusk. Mine's supposed to be like the dawn on the Sierra Nevadas, and hers is supposed to be, I think it's the Sienna Plains, the dusk on them, which was what my dad wanted to name her. But Sienna, I got a kick out of that because instead of 2 R's and 2 N's, because our names are literally identical.
She was my best friend. To be so young, she was so mature. We knew what each other was thinking before we even said it. I didn't love her any more than I loved her brother and sisters, but Sienna and I had a bond that could not be broken. I'm Elaine Hughes. I'm Sienna's Nana. She would come over every morning and she'd always say, "Nana, how do I look?" And I'd say, "Oh, you look beautiful," you know, and she'd say, "Oh, I know." And she would kiss me bye, tell me to always have a great day, and she looked good in everything she wore. She was tall and slender, and she wore a lot of leggings and sweaters, and she would wear her glasses when she wanted to have that smart look, I guess you'd call it, she said. And she was just a remarkable little girl. She loved soccer. She was so good at it. At one time in her age group, she was in the top 10 in the state of Tennessee. She played basketball, but soccer was her game. We would all go watch her, and I've seen her face get like it was bleeding, be so hot and red, but she never gave up. She'd get right back in there and support her team. She said that's what she was in there for.
She was roughly around 6 years younger than me. She was definitely the kind of kid that I wish I would have been in in middle school, elementary school. She had like the personality that was just like everybody liked her.
And on December the 11th, her regular little routine, she came over, it was on a Friday, and she told me, "Nana, I love you, have a great day." And as she was going across the street to her home to go to school, she looked at me and she says, she'd always, "I love you, Nana, have a great day." And she said, "I'll see you sometime tomorrow." And I said, "Okay, baby."
I was so irritated because she was supposed to be in trouble. I didn't want to take her because I'm like, she should be in trouble, you know, and I had plans of my own being a teenager. I was just ready to do my own thing, but I ended up taking her, and I'll never forget, I was such a meanie, just so mean, because I was irritated for taking her. You know, I was grumping at her, and one thing though I'll never forget is this song "Wildest Dreams" by Taylor Swift came on, And we all started singing it. It was like I wasn't even mad anymore because, I mean, there was a song and we were all just having that moment. But had this feeling something wasn't right. So the way they were talking, I overheard some of their conversations as they're talking in the back. You know how little girls do when they chat, just where you can hear them but you can't understand them. And so I was a little skeptical, and something told me I should go in and check, but I didn't. So I get her there and drop her off, and you know, the last thing I say to her, after fighting this whole time, I just look at her and I'm like, I love you. I was like, don't do crystal meth, because she was such a good kid. It was just a funny thing to say, but those were the last things I ever said to her.
That evening, about 20 till 7, the phone rang. It was her stepdad, John, which, oh, she adored John. I mean, and he did her. And John wanted to speak to my husband, Sienna's papa. We didn't know exactly what happened. We were just told to go to the emergency room. So I remember we flew, not knowing what we were going to see when we got there. And we get to the hospital, and I go in first. My husband's parking, and there sits Dara, Sienna's mother, and John. And Dara said, "Mama, she's gone." And I remember letting out this scream that just, it just echoed. We came home because they were coming to pick her up and take her to Nashville to do an autopsy. And Sierra or Savannah or Stuart, they didn't know. So we went over there with her mama to tell them. And it was something that I would never hope nobody has to go through, to tell their brother and sisters that she's gone. She's not coming home.
My stepdad calls, and he's sobbing, and I've never heard this man cry in my life. He lost his brother, and he still put on that tough exterior like nothing was wrong. But he was sobbing, and he wouldn't tell me what was wrong. I thought maybe my parents had gotten in a wreck, and I started just crying even worse because I thought I didn't know what was going on, and just the fact that he was crying was enough to just, something is very, very wrong. I just couldn't believe it. It just didn't even seem real. I remember praying and just hoping to God, like I was like, I'll be a better sister, I'll do whatever it takes, just please let her be okay. And all I could think about was how grumpy I'd been and everything. It was just too much. My parents came home, and I was like, what's going on, what's wrong with Sienna, you know, because I had heard she had been shot. And I'll never forget, you know, my mom, I could hear her coming before she even got there. Was saying, just screaming stuff. When she came in, I was asking, my brother came downstairs because John called him down. John's my stepdad. And you know, my mom comes in, she's saying, she's dead, she's dead. I'm literally, I cry, I'm crying at this point. I'm crying so hard. As soon as I find out she's dead, I throw up everything. I don't even, honestly, I remember very little after that.
You find out through the DA that what Sienna's last words were on this earth. And a witness told the DA that Mason Armarker, that was the boy's name, can I use his name? Okay. Had pointed the gun at someone. And Sienna, and I can just hear Sienna saying this, because she was very outspoken. She believed in anything. She was spot on. Don't you know not to point guns at people? And she turned around, and when she did, he shot her in the back, hitting her in the heart and in the lungs. I questioned everybody involved. They had a memorial for her at North. The EMTs were there. And they worked so hard to bring her back because of her age. They couldn't. They had tow life flight. They had it ready to go, but they canceled. And Carolyn Montoy was one of the first responders. Well, she was the first responder. She told me that Sienna didn't know what hit her. Said, you know, there was no pain. She didn't suffer, which I'm so thankful that she didn't. And then I found out that she lay there for 10 minutes in her blood before 911 was even called. That hurts. They never denied it.
What happened? Do we know what happened in that 10 minutes? Has anybody ever come forward and been
They
like...
dragged her body. They moved her body around.
They did move her body.
Yeah, they had moved her.
A friend of mine worked at the hospital, and they had sent a lab technician out there because they kept finding blood droppings. So her body had been moved. So, not knowing much about law enforcement, I thought I was just expecting any time he would be arrested. Once I found out what had happened, that my Sienna had been shot in the back by a 12-year-old. She was 11. And day by day, I would look at the paper. He was never picked up. He was brought in for questioning, but he was never locked up. A year went by. His mother was not locked up. We finally went to court the 1st of November 2016. And I was Sienna's voice. They would let me read impact statements and talk about Sienna, and because Dara, her mother, she couldn't. And I knew so much about Sienna. I would have to sit there and listen what a fine young man Mason R. Martha was. And it was more than I could bear. It was like it was just kept echoing in my mind.
They proved in court. They actually proved in court when I was there that there was no way it was an accident, because they tried to play the whole, the gun did it itself or, you know, whatnot. But the way that the gun that was used, you had to know something was in there to shoot it.
They had people come in from Vanderbilt's trying to say, because he came from a divorced family, divorced parents. My girl, Sienna did. Killing somebody was the last thing on her mind.
But the ones I've seen personally where this has happened, there was either child abuse or there was lack of attention to the nurturing of the child. Their basic needs like shelter and food were taken care of, but there wasn't. The parents were divorced and so angry with each other that they weren't parenting the children. They were just continuing to fight and not allowing one parent to see the other parent, or to see the child. So, you know, that became the focus for their parenting versus actually taking care of the child's needs. Oh, I think legally our system is set up for mens rea, means you have the mental capacity to understand right from wrong, and very young children are considered not to have that. But that's not true of adolescents. So legally, the system may have handled him like a younger child who didn't understand exactly what he was doing, but it's not clear because he was 12. Okay, so it's right at that age where it would not be clear, but it's hard to know. Even if you were doing like a mental status exam for an adult who had committed murder, where this issue of whether they understood what they were doing came up, it's hard to know because you don't know their state of mind at the time of the shooting.
He had been warned by the police that he had, one more time you kill another animal, you and your mom are both gonna go to jail, and then kills my 11-year-old sister, and he gets to have Christmas at home. He gets to have a normal everything, and it's mind-blowing, really.
Yeah, the police had been called out there numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
They would not let that be brought up in court.
But all the individuals who are violent, young, tend to have that history of cruelty to animals, but usually they've been mistreated, where there's been excessive force used on the child themselves, and so they're picking on the next most helpless animal that they can find to take out their own anger, because they can't stand up to whoever's being extremely punitive toward them.
The justice system, to me, really failed us on this. I have known people, because there's people you find everywhere who have their story, and there are people I know who were about his age, maybe a little older, stealing car radios, breaking in somewhere, doing some vandalism,
Vandalism in the school.
Mm-hmm, vandalism, all of that, and they're getting locked up till they're 19 years old, till they're 18. But someone can kill someone and they don't even stay in jail even just a detention facility for 6 months. You can't even do that.
I talked to the House of Representatives first. David Alexander met me there, put his arm around me, and he said, "Elaine, I remember so well the last words out of your mouth when you left my office was, 'I'll never give up.'" So I talked to the House of Representatives. I was not allowed to show her pictures there. A few hours later, I spoke to the Senate. I could show her pictures. And it was just a very tearful. They could not believe that this murder case, nothing was done. And like I told them, I said we never got any closure because Sienna never got justice. And without one of the, you don't, and I will never ever forget my Sienna. But by getting this law, I feel like I'm helping other people.
She had the sassiest voice ever, and that is one thing. They say that that's the first thing you forget about someone, and I hope to God that that's not the case, because I can still hear her voice, and if I ever stop being able to hear it, I will find a way to hear it.